Hello and welcome back to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson, writer for UCLA on SI. Today we're going to be breaking down UCLA's matchup against South Carolina in the national championship game. Kind of, the numbers that you need to know, as well as some, players who I believe on UCLA side of things need to step up, as well as a few South Carolina players who are important to mention. But before we get started, I want to thank everyone right now who's listening, Apple Music, Spotify, or even YouTube. It all means a lot to me, and I cannot thank you enough. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So, this game's happening on Easter, great holiday, stuff like that. But it's a very important day for UCLA's basketball future. You got to remember, a win here in the national championship is going to do numbers for this program's future. We're talking about, easier, a more attractive option in the transfer portal, especially with how good of a job Corey Close has been able to do. She's a great player first coach. That is definitely going to be attractive for transfers coming in, as well as recruits. Although UCLA has not really been that active in the recruiting class this year, the Bruins have positioned themselves to rely more on the transfer portal. But besides that, let's get right into the game. So just like broad numbers that you need to know, South Carolina is entering this game 36-3, UCLA 36-1. Obviously, their one loss came this season to Texas, a team who UCLA was able to, fight to the end in the Final Four and get the win. South Carolina also has a loss to Texas. I can't really think of the other losses on the top of my head. Oklahoma, number 16, Oklahoma, and then number 4, Texas, again, much later in the season in the Big 12 tournament, or the SEC tournament, sorry. But yeah, so obviously South Carolina has gone up and down all season, but they have looked great, especially with their win over UConn. I mean, we're talking about, dismantling a powerhouse by 14 points. Just a great feat. In the Final Four for South Carolina. They're coming in with a lot of momentum, and the sportsbooks really do believe that momentum is sufficient enough. For example, odds by DraftKings, they have UCLA as a 3.5 point underdog. It opened up as South Carolina with a 1.5 point favorite. So we're starting to see the line shift more in South Carolina's favor. That could be concerning, but again, they're just numbers. Not really much to worry about if you're UCLA, because we know how talented this team really is. ESPN Analytics give UCLA a 47.5% chance of winning. Might be a little bit generous on South Carolina's side because we know how good UCLA is. I mean, Lauren Betts averaging 22 points per game or something like that in tournament play. I mean, she is on fire right now. She made that huge play against Madison Booker to end the game. She's playing great basketball. But it does a little bit make sense, because considering that the rest of UCLA's players have not necessarily followed in her path, but, it is still important to mention how well Lauren Betts has played. As far as team stats, we'll start with South Carolina. They're averaging 86.5 points per game. We know they are a great team overall, scoring wise. They are a dominant team. They're also giving up 57.3 points per game. They're shooting 50% from the field. They're getting 42.6 rebounds per game, 18.2 assists per game. Just overall a very good team in general. We know that their defense is not quite as strong as UCLA's, nor their offense, but still beating UConn is a huge feat. They're also averaging 12.8 turnovers. I'll get into the importance of that here in a second, because we know UCLA has struggled with that lately. But yeah, 9.6 steals. They're a very solid team. There's no doubt about it. UCLA should not be coming to this game thinking they got the easier opponent, between South Carolina and UConn. Because, ball don't lie. If you win a game by 14 points, you are probably the better team. So, yeah, UCLA definitely needs to play their best basketball. Obviously, offense is South Carolina's forte, so they're going to need to figure out how to limit that. They gave up 44 points, or UCLA gave up 44 points to Texas, so I think their defense is definitely the place where they want it right now. Offensively, not really. I think they want to improve there. But again, just a matter of time before we really start to see, UCLA figure out their offense. And I think that'll have to come in the final game of the season. Over on UCLA's side, they're averaging 84 points per game. They're giving up 56.6, so a slight edge over South Carolina defensively. Definitely something to keep note of. They're shooting the ball at 51% from the field. We know how well Gianna Nipkins has been. Lauren Betts. They've been very efficient shooters, but we got to see more from our guards shooting wise. Kiki Rice, has had an uptick in volume recently, but her shooting percentages have definitely gone down. So again, a place where UCLA could do better. I believe UCLA shot 41% from the field against Texas. Not necessarily the mark that is considered winning basketball, but that was a strange game from start to finish. So obviously, we're not going to see the best production, especially going up against better teams. It's just not really that realistic. Rebound wise, UCLA is averaging 42.2, so obviously South Carolina has a slight edge there. Assist is where UCLA's bread and butter really lies. They're averaging 21.9, obviously South Carolina is 18.2. So obviously the key for UCLA in this one is to definitely increase their ball movement tenfold. We got to see this team, drawing up plays, cutting to the basket, really setting up Lauren Betts and, Gianna Nipkins, Gabriela Jaquez, Kiki Rice outside on the arc. Charlize Lager-Walker also has the ability to be efficient, but, the scores are, kind of established by now. Charlize Lager-Walker had zero points against Texas, so I don't expect her to be a big shooter. I think she's going to kind of lean more into that facilitator role, which will definitely benefit UCLA a lot more. UCLA is averaging 4.5 blocks per game, led out by Lauren Betts. She's been great. 8.4 steals. But again, I kind of mentioned this when I was talking about South Carolina. Turnovers are definitely going to be an impactful part of this game. UCLA is averaging 12.7 turnovers per game. South Carolina, in that Texas game, I think UCLA had like 23. I think that was the exact number. I don't know why I was guessing, but rough game from UCLA. Gabriela Jaquez had 6. Lauren Betts surprisingly had 1. She had been, UCLA's leading turnover maker. She is averaging 2.3. So hopefully she can, continue that momentum with her ball security. I think UCLA will be in a much better spot. But now talking about 3 players on UCLA who I believe will hold the keys to a national championship win. Obviously, Lauren Betts. I've been mentioning her throughout this entire podcast. She is an absolute monster on the glass, but also scoring inside. And that's definitely something that I feel like South Carolina could struggle with. I mean, a 6'7" center who is athletic, that is definitely a hard task for South Carolina to kind of deal with. Medina Ocht is, I'm not sure if I pronounced her name, but she's been just as good as Lauren Betts this season, not necessarily scoring wise, but she's averaging 13 points, 10.8 rebounds, shooting 58.1% from the field. She is 6'6", so that matchup is going to be there. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. I feel like this is, a one-on-one matchup. Obviously, Kyla Oldacre was good at kind of limiting Lauren Betts. She had 16 points, or Lauren Betts had 16 points in that Texas game, and, Kyla Oldacre definitely deserves some credit there because Lauren Betts could have honestly gone nuclear with how UCLA was shooting from beyond the arc. Again, I feel like Gabriela Jaquez, I feel like she needs a good game here. She's due. I think she had 10 points or something like that against Texas. She was able to make good shots here and there. And that was definitely impactful enough for UCLA. I feel like when she gets hot from beyond the arc, I think that's the key here for UCLA. If they can get hot behind the arc, that is really going to open the game up. Because you got to remember, the focus offensively and defensively for South Carolina is going to be figuring out how to stop Lauren Betts. If if the Bruins are able to make South Carolina focus on just Lauren Betts, there's going to be a lot of issues for the Bruins. That's why you have to establish that respect for UCLA's guards right away and hit those shots from beyond the arc. We've seen time and time again where Lauren Betts gets the ball and all of a sudden 2-3 defenders drop down from the arc and either force a turnover, make it really hard for her to create space. I mean, 3 people on you, it's going to be hard no matter what. But that's definitely something that UCLA needs to figure out and how to capitalize on. Obviously, and the third player is going to be Angela Dugalic. She's had a great NCAA tournament. We know how good she is, in the paint. Just like Lauren Betts, she's going to be commanding. We saw a couple blocks. She got snippy with some of the Texas players, stuff like that. Her intensity is what's going to help elevate UCLA into a real championship team. I mean, they are a championship team. They're playing the championship, of course, but to actually win it is going to require, a lot of passion from its players. I think Angela Dugalic definitely, personifies that and is going to help UCLA win this game. Obviously, some notable mentions. Gianna Nipkins, similar role to, Gabriela Jaquez, definitely needs to open up things beyond the arc. Kiki Rice as well. We know how dangerous she can be. I think she will be able to score no matter what, especially if, Lauren Betts and then the other guards kind of open things up. I think that's where Rice will be that much more effective. But yeah, so those players are definitely, who UCLA needs to kind of leverage on. I already talked about Medina Oct on South Carolina's side. Joyce Edwards has also been phenomenal lately. She had a rough game against UConn, but still 8 rebounds, 11 points. Can't really down her that much in the Elite Eight. She had 24 points, 12 rebounds against TCU. So we know how dynamic she really is. This season, she's averaging 19.5 points, 6.7 rebounds, while shooting 57.6% from the field. And I'm nervous about Joyce Edwards. I think Medina Oct is a player who UCLA can limit. Lauren Betts and Dugalick are on her. But if Joyce Edwards gets hot, she is pretty much the Madison Booker of Texas, right? A player who can really ruin UCLA's game. And I feel like she's not going to go 3 for 23. No hate to Madison Booker at all. Just a rough game overall. UCLA has a good defense. Not much you could do there. But I don't expect Joyce Edwards to have a game like that. So again, UCLA needs to be on their guard when defending Joyce Edwards. Dugalick is definitely going to be on her. That intensity, that matchup. We could see Lauren Betts on her at times. Just things like that are definitely going to be occurring throughout this game. But yeah, so I kind of just summed up everything right now. Obviously, we got to see Lauren Betts, Dugalick, and Jaquez really step up in this game. Joyce Edwards and Medina Oct are definitely going to be 2 players who could ultimately hurt UCLA a lot. That their physicality, their ability to be prominent in the paint. I mean, Medina Oct averaging 10.2 rebounds per game. That is a scary figure for sure, and definitely something that UCLA needs to figure out how to overcome. We know how tight-knit these teams are on paper, so turnovers cannot be, a surplus for South Carolina. UCLA cannot allow, 20 turnovers and give that to South Carolina, because that's just not a winning formula. But that's really all I have for you guys today. It's going to be an awesome matchup. Very close game on paper already. UCLA an underdog, something that they're not necessarily used to. They were against Texas, I believe. But again, it's going to be a very fun matchup, and I can't wait to watch it. My last podcast, I think I said it was on Monday. It's tomorrow on Easter. So it's definitely going to be a fun game to watch. But yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I'm your host. And as always, fours up and have a good day.